Have you ever felt just completely swamped by information? News, data, opinions everywhere. It's overwhelming sometimes, and
Whamka.
it often leaves you wondering, okay, what does this all really mean for me, for my identity, our future together? It's dizzying, right?
Mhm.
But, there's also this real thrill when you cut through the noise and find some actual clarity.
Yeah, that aha moment. Yeah.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into this really remarkable paper by Lola Barreto. She uses this powerful new metaphor, the Aristotle's Cascade, to help us sort of navigate this whole complex landscape. It's all about how we perceive reality and, our place in a world that's being profoundly shaped by AI and just rapid tech change.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how Lola Barreto takes what was clearly a deeply personal journey. She wrote this for an AI ethics course and frames it as this kind of universal quest.
Right.
She's looking at how we understand our place in this super fast evolving world, especially with AI becoming so central. And she uses this idea of pebbles to break down these huge complex ideas. We'll get into those.
Flipples, okay.
Yeah, and it helps us tackle this really core question. How do we actually shift our perception of reality?
Yeah.
Especially when, the shadows on the wall, like in Plato's caves, are constantly changing. What even is real anymore?
That's the big one. So our mission today is basically to pull out the key insights from Barreto's paper, The Aristotle's Cascade.
Correct.
We want to help you, the listener, get a handle on not just the tech stuff happening, but what it actually means for your identity, your work, our collective future.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the author kicks things off by taking us way back to Plato's cave. You remember that one, right?
Oh, yeah, classic.
Prisoners chained up, staring at a wall, only seeing shadows cast by puppeteers behind them, believing the shadows are reality. Well, for Barreto, this ancient idea that we might just be seeing reflections, not the real deal, it became incredibly personal. It echoed this crisis she went through.
A really intense one.
Yeah, a nervous breakdown where she physically lost her voice, couldn't move, couldn't even recognize her world. I mean, can you imagine the impact on your sense of self?
It's hard to fathom. And that's where she makes this really crucial connection. She sees her personal breakdown, that loss of voice, as almost a mirror to how society itself can feel fragmented.
Ah.
It shows how our grip on reality and even our identity is
Yeah.
maybe more fragile, more influenced than we think. She connects her experience to what's happening globally, like major labor strikes in Canada, this fractured media we all see, AI impacting politics, schools, jobs, everywhere.
Right, it's all connected.
Exactly. And all that pushed her to look at her past experiences through this new lens. And that's the birthplace of the Aristotle's Cascade.
Okay, so moving beyond Plato.
Right. Plato's cave is about being trapped, passively watching shadows. But Aristotle, he was all about empirical observation, practical ethics, engaging with the world.
Yeah.
So Barreto uses him to imagine this cascade, not just water falling, but like a collective experience. Voices rising, flowing together, crashing against challenges, forming new perspectives.
Like a river of understanding?
Sort of, yeah. It's a shift from just watching shadows to actively engaging, always digging for deeper truth.
That's a much more dynamic image than the cave. She describes it as this collective rising of voices, all streaming into one big water flow, curving, waving, then boom, like Niagara Falls.
Wow.
Crashing on rocks, shaping little streams and pebbles, full of sound, shapes, water, and people actually bathing in it. It's very alive.
And it's not just a nice metaphor for understanding reality. She says it's also a kind of euphemism for the tough questions artists are asking right now.
Like what?
Well, how can you speak freely as an artist when public decisions hit your integrity, your identity, even your bodily rights? How do these automated AI systems maybe flatten out culture and policy, stepping on intimacy? Barreto mentions Kate Crawford's idea of an extractivist society.
Extractivist. Okay.
Yeah, where value isn't just pulled from the earth, but from our data, our work, our attention, usually for big companies. And we're dealing not just with old school bureaucracy, but this new automated bureaucracy. It really sets the scene for these pebbles she wants us to examine.
Okay, let's pick up those pebbles then. The first two. Pebble 1 is the ghost without the shell.
Ah, nice reference.
Right, connects AI straight back to sci-fi. She quotes Major Motoko from the 1995 Ghost in the Shell movie. I am not AI. My codename is Project 2501. I am a living, thinking entity that was created in the sea of information. And then, the net is vast and infinite. I feel confined, only free to expand myself within boundaries.
Whoa. So here's where it gets really interesting. We're not just talking AI ethics for some abstract system. Barreto says we're actually forecasting, or forging the principles of AI embodiments. We're designing extensions of our own thinking, maybe even our own future avatars in the physical world.
Exactly. If we're building extensions of ourselves, what does that do to our idea of consciousness, of self?
Big questions.
Which leads right into Pebble 2, identity and the risks of politics in design. And she makes this really concrete with examples from her own documentaries.
Real stories.
Yeah, like a character in her Colombian TV series Animal Oxes who wanted to transition to female, partly because they thought it would open doors in fashion modeling, give them financial stability.
Wow.
And another, Damien Amendolas, who transitioned female to male, found work in construction, gained confidence, financial security.
Yeah.
These are huge life changes driven by, social and economic realities.
So identity itself is being shaped by these external pressures profoundly.
Yeah.
And the insight here, tying into her term bureaucranation, is that our identity is becoming this kind of contested space. It's shaped not just by our choices, but by hidden politics baked into tech and economic systems. Recognizing that influence is maybe the first step to getting some agency back.
It's kind of mind-bending how stuff that felt like pure science fiction years ago is now, like she says, parallel reality. Ordinary people making these massive decisions just for social survival. She even brings up another example, this Cuban sci-fi writer Jorge Enrique Lage and his book Straight.
Oh, what's that about?
Get this. A straight couple flees Earth for Mars, pretending to be statues because intimacy is a crime in the future, and people are forced to live as women because of illegal spermicides and this pervasive DIY culture.
Yikes. That's a bleak picture.
It really paints a stark picture of external forces dictating who we are, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And these stories just underscore the huge scope of AI, politics, privacy issues. Tech is just sprinting ahead of the law, making it hard for individuals to even advocate for themselves.
So what's the counter?
Well, the author talks about this vision, the discrete tiny bridge. It sounds like a way to build a more relational, sustainable ecosystem where we can agree on how to share our limited time, our resources.
A bridge. Okay.
Yeah, something to fight the fear, the distrust, the unchecked algorithmic bureaucratic bias that Ruha Benjamin warns about, the kind that creates imbalance and forces most people, as Benjamin puts it, to live in somebody else's imagination. That's where bureaucranation comes in, this creeping automated control.
Bureaucranation, that's a great word for it.
Isn't it? So what does this all mean for you? It means looking beyond just the tech specs of AI and asking deep questions. Who are we? How are our identities being shaped? How do we build fairer systems? Barreto points to frameworks like AI for People, that's a global ethics initiative, and OCAP.
OCA.
Yeah, it stands for Ownership, Control, Access, and Possession. It's rooted in indigenous principles for data sovereignty, ways for communities to maintain control against these really big power dynamics.
That seems crucial. Okay, moving on. Pebble 3 is about promoting the inclusion of ACTS Arts in Alberta and the STEM culture.
Right, not just STEAM, but broader A's.
Exactly. It's about bringing arts, the artificial AI, and even specific contexts like Alberta into how we think about STEM goals like efficiency, reliability, productivity. She mentions Dr. Ingram's sci-shroom concept.
Room. Tell me more.
It's like imagining classrooms not as boxes, but as these dynamic intelligence spaces where all kinds of intelligence, human, AI come together. They don't just learn stuff, they mush dive into concepts.
Mush dive.
Yeah, like collaboratively exploring complex ideas, almost like navigating a huge forest together, making decisions with tons of connections. Super collaborative, very experiential.
That sounds way more interesting than standard lectures.
Yeah.
But there's a warning here too, right?
There is.
Dr. Gao brings up the risk of AI automating not just tasks, but our minds, lives, environments. He actually echoes Marshall McLuhan, who saw this coming decades ago. McLuhan said automation doesn't make liberal arts obsolete, it makes them mandatory.
Huh?
Mandatory.
Yeah. And Dr. Gao, in an article about AI partnership, warns the big risk isn't robots taking jobs, it's the loss of self-awareness. We become just passive users of our own technological extensions, basically tools of our own tools.
That hits hard.
The insight is if we just blindly adopt automation, we could lose our ability to think for ourselves, to be creative. We end up serving the systems we build.
That's pretty sobering. And this loss of self-awareness, this risk, Dr. Gao points out, it links directly to how our dignity at work is changing, which takes us to Pebble 4. Labor dignity, uncertainty, and the power of stories.
Okay.
The author talks about how labor itself has shifted. We're monitored, nudged, notified constantly, even at home. Those lines between real life, virtual life, real life, like, totally blurred.
And people end up treated like robots for this kind of faux automated efficiency. There's less time to create, heal, care, and this lack of self-awareness creeps in. Let's unpack this. Barreto argues our human evolution isn't just about raw intelligence, it's about our amazing ability to create tools for caring, healing, expressing emotion.
Right.
So what happens when automation, or as Kate Crawford calls it, photomation?
Photomation. Good term.
What happens when it pretends to be fully automated but secretly relies on hidden, often exploited human workers? It reduces us, she says, citing Astra Taylor, to just servers of ever-emerging technologies.
Exactly. Photomation is painted as this exploitative machine. It keeps existing power dynamics going but hides the human cost. The author points out that power, data, process, energy, classification, these are the core of automation itself.
Not people.
Not inherently, no.
Yeah.
The algorithms just keep iterating, optimizing for nearly 100 years now. Human values, authenticity, they're often just not part of the equation. It's a critique of systems designed to perpetuate themselves, not necessarily uplift humanity.
So faced with all that homogenization, that exploitation, how do we resist? That leads us to Pebble 5, redefining efficiency to improve relational dynamics for sustainable solutions.
Okay, redefining efficiency. How?
Well, Barreto asks, how do we heal this wounded relationship between science and humanities? How do we build responsible, sustainable communities? She notes we're so desperate for quick decisions that we jump to AI to solve things, to get rid of uncertainty.
Right.
But that ability to handle uncertainty, that was key to human success.
Right.
We've kind of traded it for practices that just keep the industrial machine humming.
And Kate Crawford's Atlas of AI dives deep into this, showing how big tech uses photomation to make labor uniform cheaper. Which really messes with our definitions of ethics, art, identity, education, work, all of it. So this raises an important question. If we're losing our ability to live with uncertainty, are we losing something fundamentally human? And how can we possibly build tools that truly serve us, tools that keep the artistic, experiential human at the center, when maybe the tools weren't designed that way in the first place?
That's a challenge, isn't it? How to retrofit humanity into the machine. Okay. Changing tack slightly. Pebble 6 is the waterfall, developing carbon color skies to contribute to the AI's Cascade. This involves the author's own sci-fi script.
Oh, cool. A creative response?
Yeah, it's called Cielo Color Carbon, set 100 years from now. And guess what? Despite all the advanced tech, the same basic societal problems are still around.
Figures.
We meet Monica. She's 14, living in this super hyper-connected world, but she's dealing with the same stuff teens deal with today. Tech progress doesn't automatically fix human issues.
So what's Monica's story?
Her journey is about realizing her problems aren't just the devices or the media streams bombarding her. It's about her relationships, her connection to her present time, and the land under her feet.
Grounding.
Exactly. She starts digging into her granddad Illyrio's history, his homeland, and that helps her develop this free spirit mindset to use tech wisely for her family.
Tell me about Illyrio.
He's great. He fled the cities, became a farmer, resists machines, but adapts his home with solar hollow tech, living in silent resistance. Total contrast to Monica's dad, Daniel, who's an engineer, always chasing the latest hit of innovation.
Love that contrast, the grounded versus the constantly upgrading.
Yeah. And the insight seems to be that tech's real power isn't just connection to info, but connection to community, history, place.
Makes sense.
And this fictional story links directly to Pebble 7, moving forward with creative resistance. In the script, Monica and Illyrio face off against Combusto.
Combusto. Sounds ominous.
A fictional megacorp turning farmlands into electricity sources. And Barreto explicitly connects this to real-world union battles in Canada. Air Canada flight attendants, Canada Post workers, public sector, education workers, WestJet mechanics, federal public servants. Lists quite a few, all fighting for fair pay, respect, better conditions, pushing back against mandates.
Wow, that's a direct link.
It is. Here's where it gets really interesting. The author shows how wins in one area, like a union victory, can empower others. It's about reclaiming autonomy, fighting for a better future, even when the private sector pushes back with things like outsourcing and, well, automation. It's Monica and Illyrio versus Combusto, but writ large.
So those individual struggles become part of that larger cascade. They feed into the collective flow.
Exactly. Which takes us to the final pebble, number 8. The echoes of the cascade, the power of stories.
Okay, bringing it home.
Right. In today's media mess, vast, fragmented, full of deepfakes, eroding trust, How do we possibly recover trust? How do we even advocate for it going forward?
That's the million-dollar question.
She brings in Yuval Noah Harari from 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Harari argued, humans think in stories rather than in facts, numbers, or equations. And the simpler the story, the better.
Stories over facts.
Barreto totally agrees, but adds a layer. She says human civilization succeeded not just through smarts, but our ability to nurture, heal, and protect expressions of love, and our ability to create stories.
Love and stories.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, stories aren't just entertainment. They fulfill this deep human need to understand ourselves, to build a common understanding that goes beyond just faith, to express ourselves in a healing relationship or connection with everything around us. Stories are like how we survive.
That puts a different spin on it. Not just data, but narrative.
Exactly. So maybe it's not about being flattened by a million news alerts. Maybe it's about how music, games, film, dance, art, even science used for art help us connect, help us navigate our emotions. She suggests we might be shifting towards becoming jacks of all motions, masters at turning reason and feelings into expressions of our virtues.
Instead of just being overwhelmed consumers of information.
Right. Becoming creators of meaning through story. Wow, what a journey that was. From Plato's dark cave to the rush of Aristotle's Cascade, we've touched on identity, the place of arts and STEM, labor dignity in this age of photomation, and, yeah, the huge power of stories. This whole deep dive was really about seeing our complex world, especially with AI woven through it, with fresh eyes, maybe a more integrated view.
Absolutely. And Barreto leaves us with this reminder that our ability to connect, not just plugging into tech, but connecting with each other, our history, the actual ground beneath our feet, that's our most powerful tool. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? In a world that keeps shoving us towards automated efficiency, towards fragmented realities, the author implicitly asks, what personal cascade will you choose to build? And maybe more importantly, what stories will you tell? What stories will you seek out?